Jai Hind everyone. My name is Anushka Tyagi and I am assistant professor in IT department. Today we are starting with the topic of computer networks, LANs and error detection and their corrections. So first of all we have wired LANs, Ethernet, IEEE 802.3. So IEEE 802 project was initiated in 1985 to standardize all the LAN technologies. Explicitly, there are two layers. There are basically two layers in LAN protocols. First is physical layer, and where the all the type of raw data passes from the sender to receiver. Then second one is the data link layer, where all the type of error detection, framing of the data, and addressing of the data is taken place. So IEEE creates the standards to ensure devices from different manufacturers can work together. They can there will be no partiality between if their manufacturer is the computer of sender is different and the receiver. So the IEEE standards for LANs. First of all, as you can see in this diagram, there are all the OSI model layers. So upper layers, which are OSI model layer, are application, presentation, session, transport, network, which are not being handled by IEEE. Only data link layer and physical layer are being handled by IEEE. So in data link layer we have two types of sub layers. LLC, logical link control, where it manages all the communication between the upper layers, and then MAC layer, which is media access control, which is specific to each network type like Ethernet, token bus, etc. Controls how we place the data on the medium. Like if we are passing a data from optical fiber, so how it is going from optical fiber, so for example, etc. Then the physical layer, which is the specific standard for each medium, like twisted pair cable, coaxial cables, fiber optics, etc. Now here is the introduction of the Ethernet. It is introduced by Xerox PARC in 1976. It has evolved in 4 generations. First is standard Ethernet, where we can pass only 10 Mbps of data. Then next generation came, which is fast Ethernet, where we can passes the 100 Mbps data. Then gigabit Ethernet, in which we are passing the 1 Gbps, and now we have the 10 gigabyte Ethernet, where we can pass the data at the speed of 10 gigabyte per second. Now here we have the media access control frame. And as you can see in this diagram, we have a address in which is divided in very different parts. First is preamble. In preamble, which is 7 bits, it helps the receiver to synchronize with the sender signal pattern, like how the sender is sending the data. Okay, then we have the SFD, start frame delimiter, which actually marks the beginning of the data, which is coming from the sender. Then we have source address, which is 6 bits. It contains the sender's MAC address. Then we have the destination address, which is also 6 bits. It has the receiver's MAC address. Then we have the data and padding, in which we have the actual data which is being sent from the sender to receiver. Then we have the length and type, where we record the length or types of protocol. Then we have CRC, cycle redundancy checks, for error detection. We will talk about it later, like all the error detection part. Then this is the diagram. Total it is of 56 bits, which is alternating in 1 and 0s. Now we have in MAC address, we have minimum and maximum lengths. So as you can see, minimum frame length is 64 bytes or 512 bits. Then we have maximum frame length, where we have 1518 bytes. Now we have the example of Ethernet address in hexadecimal notation. MAC address can be also written as hexadecimal form, where we have 48 bits, which are divided into six groups of 8 bits, 1 byte each. We have the breakdown for this hexadecimal address. First 3 bits originally contains the manufacturer ID, like we can easily identify the manufacturer of senders or receiver. Then we have the last three bits, which is assigned by the manufacturer uniquely to the data or anything. Then we have for example, we have MAC address, like it is your home address on the internet. It is globally unique and burned into device network card. Now we have unicast address and multicast address. In unicast address, it is for 0, and it is for example, if we are sending some data to one, if we are sending some letter to one home only. In multicast, we are sending a data or any invitation to many houses, like sending to a group. Then we have broadcasting. Broadcasting means we are dropping flyers in every stop. We are not limiting to for a group and anything. So the least significant bit of the first byte defines the type of address. If the bit is 0, then the address is unicast. If it is otherwise, then it is multicast. Now we have some categories for standard Ethernets. As you can see in this diagram, we have 10 base 5 thick coax 10 Mbps, 10 base 2 thin coax 10 Mbps, 10 base T twisted pair 10 Mbps, 100 base TX twisted pair at 100 Mbps, 1000 base LX fiber optics 1 Gbps. These are some common Ethernet implementations which has come to our users. So how we are sending the data. So first of all, as you can remember, we have talked about the about the topologies, like how the devices are connected to each other. So all these Ethernet cables, as you can see in this diagram, also, all these Ethernet cables consist of some type of topologies. As you can see in 10 base 5, it consists of bus topologies. Then in 10 base 2 also it also contains bus topology. 10 base T contains star topologies, and 10 base F contains contains also star topology. So we will start with the encoding in the standard Ethernet implementations. We know the standard Ethernet implementation. Now we are encoding the data in the standard Ethernet implementations. So as you can see in this diagram, the left box, the sender sends the data at 10 Mbps speed, which is passing through the Manchester encoder. What is Manchester encoder? It converts 1 and 0 to spatial signal that are easy to read and time correctly by the receiver end. Then the signal travels through the wires or fiber cables, like for example, we have learned about the coaxial cables, twisted paired cables, etc. Then the right box, as you can see on the right hand side, the receiver side uses a Manchester decoder, which decodes these special signals and change back to its original place. So why we are using this Manchester encoding? Because it helps the receiver to know when each byte starts and ends. We add some special characters, we add some special data which can help the receiver and to easily recognize the original data and the special data. So it can easily collect the data from the special signals or etc. So it can make the communication more accurate and reliable. So we will start with the 10 base 2 implementation. In 10 base 2 implementation it is a bus topology. Sorry. 10 base 2. Yes, sorry. Correct. So in 10 base 2 implementation, so we are starting with the 10 base 2 implementation. In 10 base 2 implementation, we follows the bus topologies. Okay. Then in 10 base 2, there is a meaning of each character, like 10 Mbps, like 10 base 2 means 10 Mbps, 10 Mbps speed. Like this wire can contain the data in 10 Mbps per second. Then we have the baseband digital signal. So what do you mean by 2? 2 is equal to 200 meter, but actual maximum length is 185 meter. Like we can have the thick coaxial cable maximum length up to 185 meters. Then it uses thin coaxial cables. It uses thin coaxial cables to connect multiple devices to a chain. As we have studied, like it is from bus topology. In bus topologies, we have one data cable. Then all the devices are connected to that cable. Like it is connected like a bus. So devices are connecting uses T connectors. What are T connectors? T connectors are the devices between we are using from the device and the main cable, main thin coaxial cable, which is a length of 185 centimeters. So we can add and remove easily from this all coaxial length. We can add as many as devices as it can handle. Then the cables must have terminators at both ends to prevent signal reflection. Okay. Now, then we have 10 base T implementation. It is also a bus topology. It also follows the bus topology. In this, we have 10 base T. 10 is 10 Mbps speed of the data, and in base, the baseband signaling is digital. Now, for the T part are twisted pair cable. Usually, UTP cables are used. Usually, UTP cables are used in this type of implementation. So, how it can work? It works like each computer or devices are connected to the central hub using UTP cable. So we have that 10 base T cable hub, and all the devices at the receiver end or the sender end are connected to each other from this UTP cable. Then the UTP cables has two pairs of wires, one for sending data and one for receiving. So it is they are connecting from the devices with the mainly two types of cables. Okay, the hub manages all the connection, allow data to be sent between the devices. For example, if the sender is sending the data, the sender the sender will not directly send the data to the receiver end. Firstly, it will send the data to the central 10 base T hub. Then 10 base T hub will check like which receiver wants to receive this data, like so which receiver will receive this data. Then the 10 base T hub will send the data to the receiver side. Okay. Next, we have 10 base F implementation. 10 base F implementation is 10 equals to 10 Mbps speed. Base is baseband signaling digital, and F will be a fiber optical cable. So we have learned about thick coaxial cables, UTP cable, and now we are using in 10 base F implementation is fiber optical cable. So in this, devices are connected to a 10 base F hub using fiber optical cable. Each device is same as 10 base T. It is also contains two fiber cables, one for sending data and one for receiving. It allows for the long distance and low interference communication. Same as 10 base T, the sender sends the data to the 10 base F hub. Then hub checks that where we are sending this data, which receiver has to receive this data. Then the hub will send the data to the receiver side. Each devices will be connected with the two types of cable, like one is for sending and one is for receiving. Like every device is working as a sender and a receiver also in this implementation. So mainly data can be corrupted during this transmission, as we are passing this data from here and there. So the data can easily be corrupted from during this transmission. So some applications require that errors to be detected and corrected. So first of all, we have mainly basically two types of data, not that important, but we can easily differentiate between this data. We have two types of data, tolerable and critical. So tolerable, which are the tolerable errors? Like if we are sending some audio video transmission, so there can be they may be tolerable. Like if we are getting some glitch, some difference, we can easily tolerate that data. But If we are sending some critical text, like we are writing our account number, we are sending a data, we are sending a money to some account number, so there we will expect a very high level of accuracy. These types of error can be known as critical errors. So we have introduction. First we will discuss with some issues directly or indirectly from the error detection and correction. Then we will discuss some types of errors where bits flow from one point to another. Sometimes they can be predicted because of due to inference we can predict the changes, but sometimes the changes will be unpredictable. So first of all, we have a in single bit error where we have only one bit in data of unit has changed. Okay, basically if we are sending some data, like as you all know, like this the computer will receive binary digit data like 1001 whatever. So if we are sending some data from sender to receiver, so as you can see in single bit, the 1 changes to 0, or only one character, one bit of data can be changed, like 1 to 0, 0 to 1. As you can see in this diagram, in single bit error, we are sending a data with 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. So in receiver side, that 0, the fifth 0 is converted to 1. So 0 changed to unit 1. So the next error is the burst error. Burst error means 2 or more bits in the data unit have changed. Okay. As you can see in this error, we have this big data. Then there we have error in 8 bits only, where these are some corrupted bits, like 0 changes to 1 and 1 changes to 0, and at receiver side we are receiving the corrupted bits. So to detect and correct errors, we need to send redundant bits of data. We are sending extra data on receiver side, so it can easily collect the data, then remove the extra data and extract the correct data. So we have the structure of encoder and decoder. What do you mean by encoder? As we have learned in the starting, like Manchester encoder and decoder, we are sending some data, encoder adding some special characters or adding some extra data, then it is passing from a transmission medium, then in decoder side it collects the data, and it corrects and discards the data, extra data, and then sends to receiver side. So we have mainly for this error type, we have four types of redundancy checks: VRC, LRC, CRC, checksum. VRC, vertical redundancy checks; LRC, longitudinal redundancy checks; CRC, cyclic redundancy check, and checksum. So mainly we have the process of error detection in block coding. As you can see, sender receiving in encoder. As you can see in the encoder part, we have the data word which has n k bits data word. Then we have the generator, which is converting the data. Then we are adding a code word which is n bits. Then we are transferring this data from unreliable transmission medium, because in this transmission medium the error will occur, the corruption will occur. Then it passes to the decoder side. In decoder side, it will receive the code word n bits. Okay. Then it will go to the checker side. It will discard the extra data, and extract the original data and sends to the data words, where it will convert it to k bits. Then the receiver can receive this data as a original side. So no data will be lost and no data will be corrupted in this process. Thank you so much. We will continue.